Turn your preparation into a cornerstone for reaching the top of the civil services selection list. Get ready for the final personality test with the Vision IS Personality Development Program for the UPSC Civil Services Examination 2024. The program offers in-depth depth analysis sessions with senior experts and faculty members, realistic mock interviews with ex-bureaucrats and educationists, interactive sessions with toppers and serving bureaucrats, personalized performance evaluation and feedback. At Vision IS, we prepare you to excel in areas like communication, current affairs, critical thinking and more, essential for the UPSC CSE final interview. The UPSC CSE arena is an ever-evolving space where staying up to date becomes as crucial as maintaining a thorough preparation. With strategic planning and holistic coverage for exam syllabus, Vision IS Delhi presents GS Foundation course. Avail analysis and integration of current affairs with GS syllabus. All India test series with an innovative assessment system, inculcating post-test analysis, discussion, All India ranking, and more. Explore the holistic learning modules intrinsically designed for the ideal aspirant.
Welcome back to the discussion. History Optional Paper 2, the last mains were given. In our last class, we dealt with Paper 1, Ancient Medieval. This is about Paper 2, Modern India and World History. When it comes to Section A of Paper 2, Modern India, you see the first part, which is compulsory, question number 1. There you have 5 questions given. Okay, short notes, 150 words each. Of the 5 questions given, you see the first question. After the Battle of Plassey, mercenary became the kingmaker. You know, Battle of Plassey, 1757 June, between English East India Company and Siraj, the Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dawla. Who is the mercenary here? English East India Company is the mercenary here. Understand? In the battle, Siraj was killed. For that battle, English already entered into a conspiracy. They hatched a conspiracy. Robert Clive entered into a secret understanding with court nobles of Siraj. You know the court nobles of Siraj, Chief Commander Mir Jafar. Mir Jafar was given the understanding that he would be made the Nawab of Bengal once Siraj was killed. Then other court nobles, Jagat Seth, Raydurlab, okay, and Omi Chen, they all joined Robert Clive, okay, in toppling Siraj administration. Okay. This is a conspiracy worked out by English East India Company. In the battle when Siraj was killed by Myron, son of Mir Jafar, obviously English East India Company became the kingmaker. They made Mir Jafar the Nawab of Bengal. Okay, so the question is what? The mercenary became the kingmaker. Who is the kingmaker here? English, they themselves became the kingmaker. They are kingmakers when they made Mir Jafar the Nawab. They were the kingmakers when they removed Mir Jafar. They removed Mir Jafar within 3 years, 1757 to 1760 Mir Jafar. From 1760 to 63, Mir Qasim was the Nawab. There in making Mir Qasim also, English East India Company, kingmaker. When Mir Qasim was defeated, he ran away from Bengal. Again, English East India Company made Mir Jafar the Nawab of Bengal. Okay. They also entered into an understanding with Mir Jafar's second son, Nazim-ud-Dawla. Okay. So, English East India Company, definitely the kingmaker after the Battle of Plassey. Okay. They also got a territory of their own. Mir Jafar, when he was made the Nawab, he gave English East India Company 24 Pargana Jamindari, first territory English got in modern India. So a mercenary which had actually come for trade, now it became a territorial power in Bengal. Right. So you have to give answer how they could capture power. First part of your answer, how they conspired. Second part, how they captured power. Third part, give the instances where they were kingmakers. Are you clear? First part, you have to talk about how they worked out the conspiracy. Second part, what happened in the Battle of Plassey, killing Siraj. Third part, how they made themselves as kingmakers. Removing Mir Jafar, bringing Mir Qasim, and removing Mir Qasim, and after again Mir Jafar for second time. How they made Nazim-ud-Dawla. In all these instances, English were the kingmakers. Right. Next question is, the values of utilitarianism prompted the company administration to attempt reform of Indian society. What do you mean by utilitarianism? Utilitarianism, okay, the main philosophy of utilitarianism means maximum benefit to the maximum. What is utilitarianism? The essence of utilitarianism is maximum benefit to the maximum. That is the concept. J.S. Mill, Jeremy Bentham, these are all experts on the concept utilitarianism. Okay. In English East India Company administration, unfortunately, company administration thought about its own vested interests. It did not bother about the welfare of the people. Okay. That means company administration went against the concept utilitarianism. When William Bentinck took over the administration, William Bentinck was the Governor General. It was during his times the utilitarian ideas were given an experimental basis, a trial. Okay. When Bentinck was the Governor General, during his tenure, the concepts of utilitarianism were given an implementation. They were given implementation. In that sense, they were implemented. Where do you see implementation of utilitarian ideas? This you see for the first time in the introduction of Rayatwari. Okay. Rayatwari and in Mahalwari also. I am not telling you Rayatwari was introduced during the times of William Bentinck. Rayatwari system was already introduced. In introducing the concept in system Rayatwari, The idea was what? Any system must benefit to the maximum extent. So make the Rayat the owner of the land. Why do you go for Jamindari system? In the Jamindari system, only Jamindar was recognized. You have recognized only a class of Jamindars. That's why the system ended up as a failure. Better you go for Rayatwari, where you give patta to the Rayat. Majority of the Rayats would be recognized as the owners of the land. Rayat would be recognized as owner. So this system would definitely benefit majority. So in the introduction of Rayatwari, you see the concept utilitarianism. Under William Bentinck, where exactly you see the utilitarian ideas? In 1832, William Bentinck reduced the tax under Mahalwari system. In the Mahalwari system, okay, rental value 95% was fixed. Okay, rental value of Mahal, okay, of the rental value of the Mahal, 95% was fixed as the tax. That is very exorbitant. Okay, in the Mahalwari system. Now William Bentinck brought it down in 1832 to 66%. You don't have to pay 95% of the rental value. All of you in the Mahal pay 66%. That means a relief for the peasantry. 1832 resolution. Okay. Similarly, where do you see utilitarian ideas implemented? Okay. Utilitarian ideas implemented in social reform. Social reform, particularly abolition of sati. Okay. Custom of sati. In Indian society, you had custom of sati. Right? Widow being burnt along with her husband on husband's pyre. Okay. This is a social evil affecting woman. For no fault of her, she is been burnt alive on the pyre of her husband. Okay. So remove and eradicate the social evil, liberate people from the social evil. In other words, abolition of the custom of sati. You know, sati was banned. Okay, with the regulation 17. You call it as regulation 17. Okay. This regulation 17, of course, was equally the result of Ram Mohan Rai's effort. On the request of Raja Ram Mohan Rai, the custom of sati was abolished. 1829, regulation 17. So this is where you see the concept utilitarianism. Understand? Similarly, utilitarianism, where do you see the other area? Utilitarianism in education policy. At the point. In India, you had an education system, Vedic learning. For the Hindus, it was Vedic learning. For the Muslims, it was madrasa learning. But unfortunately, Vedic learning and madrasa learning both had become outdated, obsolete. What is the point of learning the Vedic learning? Veda. Okay. Unless otherwise you are interested. By learning Vedic Vedas, you are not going to earn any livelihood. Purpose of education finally is to secure you a livelihood. Got the point? But both the systems were not ensuring livelihood. They are obsolete, outdated. They are of no use. Education must serve the purpose of not only expanding your intellectual ideas, it also must ensure your survival. Education's purpose is not only intellectual pursuit, but at the same time it should also see that your survival is taken care. That's exactly the reason why you see English education was introduced. Okay. In 1835, March 7, Macaulay, when Governor General William Bentinck was the Governor General, when he was the Governor General, Macaulay was made the chairman of the Committee on Public Instruction. March 7th, 1835, English education was introduced. This is again a major social reform. Got the point. Third important thing is what? Utilitarian concept. Okay. Any reform must benefit maximum to the society. That's why they handled the legal issues, legal problem. Okay. No one codified the law. Hindu law, Islamic law, you have laws. Okay. So part of this utilitarian concept, Macaulay was also a legal expert. Macaulay was responsible for codification of Hindu law and Muslim law. This was also done under utilitarian concept. When you codify, simplify the law, it must definitely serve the purpose of the society. Okay. So where do you see the influence of utilitarianism? We see utilitarianism in land reforms. We see utilitarianism in social reform, abolition of the custom of sati, in educational policy, and in judicial policy. Clear? Okay. Please. Huh? Ah. 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 No, purpose is you introduce a new education system. Practically the problem, you are not in a position to spread education for all. That is pretty expensive, right? That's why same Macaulay provided for a concept called downward infiltration theory. Okay, what is downward infiltration theory? You educate a section of society, they themselves would spread the education. Got the point? That is downward infiltration. Okay. So he did not rule out the possibility, okay, for not giving education for others. Practically it is impossible for the state to give education for all. Okay. So give education for a section of society, they themselves will spread the education. This is downward infiltration theory. Any other question? Right. Next question is what? In course of the 19th century, the agenda of social reform was gradually replaced by revivalism. Okay. What is this question about? Question is about social reform of 19th century. There are two stages here. First stage of social reform, they are genuinely concerned about reformation, reforming the society. Society reformation means what? In Indian society, you have social evils. What are these social evils? Child marriage. Major social evil is child marriage, followed by sati, followed by widowhood. Okay, woman suffering, widowhood. Then immoral trafficking, right? That means woman being used sexually, sexual exploitation of woman. Okay. There are other caste-based social evils, hook swinging. Okay. Any lower caste person violating Kuladharma, okay, there is a custom called hook swinging. Okay. These are all social evils. Okay. First stage of social reform movements, they are basically concerned about this, how to remove these evils. They are reformistic, undoubtedly. Okay. Where do you see reformistic movements? Pioneer of reformism, Raja Ram Mohan Rai and Brahmo Samaj. Right. It's because of the efforts of Brahmo Samaj, I just now told you, sati was abolished. Number 1, 1829. Okay. It's because of Brahmo Samaj, new education system called English education system was introduced by Macaulay. Because Ram Mohan Rai pleaded, time and again pleaded with the British administration, introduce new education system. Okay. Vedic learning, Persian learning, they are outdated. Our Ram Mohan Rai also pleaded, don't say that British introduce everything on their own. Our Indian intellectuals and reformers also asking for reform. Okay. So Ram Mohan Rai's reformism, okay, sati abolished, English education introduced. Ram Mohan Rai condemned evils in all his journals. Okay. Brahmo Samaj and its activities. Right. After Brahmo Samaj, you have Tattvabodhini Sabha, 1839, Debendranath Tagore. Tattva means philosophy. Unfortunately, philosophy side of religion given secondary place. Ritual, ceremony became primary. Okay. Problem is with ritual and ceremony. When you think about greater ideas of religion, then there is no problem. That's why Tattvabodhini Sabha of Debendranath Tagore, 1839. This was also about the reformistic philosophy of Upanishads. Then you have Manav Dharma Sabha. Okay. Manav Dharma Sabha, Dadoji Pandurang. Understand? You have Radha Swami Satsang. Radha Swami Satsang. In our Karol Bagh, you see, if you pass through this Pusa Road, okay, D.L. Kapoor Hospital is there. Right side of that hospital, next to the hospital, you have Manav Dharma, Radha Swami Satsang, a branch of Radha Swami Satsang. They give social service. Okay. They lead life without bad habits or vices. You understand? A life without bad habits, rendering social service. These are the guiding principles of Manav Dharma Sabha. Okay. Similarly, you have Justice M.G. Ranade, founding, the 1866, you have Veda Samaj, branches of Brahmo Samaj founded in Bombay Presidency and Madras Presidency. Okay. There also you have main problem concerning about woman problems. Okay. Woman problem is what? Okay. Child marriage. Okay. Child marriage means, widowhood is the immediate problem. Okay. Age gap too much. You understand? 19th century woman main problem, child marriage. How to stop these child marriages? That's why Ramabai Ranade, wife of Justice M.G. Ranade, she founded a movement against child marriage, Vidwa Vivaha Mandal, widow remarriage associations. Okay. She gave an importance for woman education. Right. Same is the case with Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. It was because of Vidyasagar's effort, Widow Remarriage Act was passed. Widow Remarriage Act 1856, legalizing widow remarriages. Okay. I told you, Justice M.G. Rande's movement, Pradhana Samaj. Okay. They are all reformistic. Okay. In Islamic society also, reform was the guiding principle of the movements. How to reform the Islamic society? Main problem of Islamic society was what? Muslims was backwardness, illiteracy. Okay. Economic disparity, you see either stinkingly rich Musliman or horrible poverty. Okay. This is the problem in Islamic society. Why problem in Islamic society? They had not accepted education, English education. Hindus accepted English education but not Muslims. That's why the first reformist movement, you have, Dar will land of education. Okay. Deoband movement, otherwise called. Okay. Deoband movement, Deoband, D-E-O-B-A-N-D. Deoband movement was for education to the Muslims. Okay. Maulana Hussain Ahmad, founder of Deoband movement. Same is the case with Aligarh movement. Aligarh movement 1875 by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. It's basically for imparting English education to the Muslims. In between these two movements, the Deoband movement and Aligarh movement, you have Ahmadiyya movement of Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. Ahmadiyya. Ahmad, founder Ghulam Ahmad. That's why the movement is called Ahmadiyya movement. Ahmadiyya movement encouraging Muslims to go for trade, commerce, industry, poverty. Unless you are economically sound, it cannot be reformism. Got the point? So these movements are definitely reformistic. In Parsi reform movement, only one movement, very powerful movement. Okay. Parsi reform movement is Rehunamai Mazdayasan Sabha. Rehunamai, R-E-H-N-U. R-E-H-N-U. N-A-M-A-I. Rehunamai. Mazdayasan. M-A-Z-D-A-Y-A-S-A-N. Sabha. Okay. Similarly, in Sikhism, you have a reformist movement, Namdhari movement. Namdhari, N-A-M-D-H-A-R-I, by Bhagat Jawahari Mal. Right. These movements definitely reformistic. Okay, because here it is only for 150 words. I can't go to in detail, explanation of every movement. Simply mention these movements. They are all definitely reformistic. Question is what? How this social reform was gradually replaced by revivalism. Okay. Reform and revivalism. These are all reformistic movements. What is revivalism? Revivalism means you wanted to go back again. You don't want to surge forward. Revivalism means bringing back again the orthodoxy, conservatism of religion. Revivalism means very simply opposing change. I am discussing third question. Revivalism means opposing change. Okay. Where do you see revivalism? Okay. All the movements after 1857, I should say, they were revivalistic. Okay. Where do you see revivalism? Arya Samaj revivalistic. Arya Samaj revivalistic. Arya Samaj giving you the slogan, go back to the Veda. Go back. Okay. You are not looking at the future. You are looking at the past glory. Brahmo Samaj always looked at the future. Okay. Brahma Samaj progressive, Brahma Samaj reformistic. Arya Samaj revivalistic. It wanted to bring back the past glory. That's why Dayanand gave you the slogan, go back to the Vedas. Similarly, Aligarh movement also. To begin with, Aligarh movement reformistic. We want English education for Muslims. But same Aligarh movement later became revivalistic, opposing Hindu-Muslim unity. First they said Hindu-Muslims are united and they are, together. Okay. Same Aligarh movement going against the concept Hindu-Muslim unity. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan discouraging Muslims not to join Muslims while joining the Congress party. He discouraged Muslims, telling them not to join Congress party. Conservative movements. I talked about reformist movements in Islam. You have conservative movements also in Islam, opposing change. What are these conservative movements? Ahl-e-Hadith, Ahl-e-Quran. Ahl means followers. Hadith, original teachings of Prophet Muhammad. Ahl-e-Quran, I follow Quran in toto. When you say you follow religious text totally, are you progressive or revivalistic? You are definitely revivalistic. Okay. So there are revivalistic movements. Same is the case in Sikhism also. I told you Namdhari movement in Sikhism. It is progressive, reformistic movement. Asking Sikhs not to go for consumption of liquor, no liquor, male-female equality, reformistic. But in Sikh community, you see revivalism also. Kuka movement, Kuka, K-U-K-A, Kuka movement under Ram Singh. Okay. It's reformistic and revivalistic, both. Okay. Kuka movement influenced more by the ideology of Guru Gobind. Got the point? Okay. To an extent, revivalistic. So question is what? In course of 19th century, the agenda of social reform was gradually replaced by revivalism. How these reformist movements had also seen revivalistic tendencies. Are you clear? Reform and revivalism, both are there. Okay. Reformist movements accepting change. Revivalistic movements opposing change. Fine. Next question is what? The federal provisions of Government of India Act 1935, okay, founded on the rock of princely intransigence. See, there are two difficult words used. Founded on the rock of intransigence. Okay. It means what? What is the meaning of this question? Government of India Act 1935. Okay. Government of India Act 1935, the last constitutional reform, okay, of the British in modern India. Last constitutional reform. In this constitutional reform, direct elections were provided. Understand? Direct elections for the provincial governments, okay, state governments. Diarchy abolished, no diarchy. Okay. Diarchy? Their division of, powers were divided between the British and the elected governments in the provinces under 1919 Act, Government of India Act. That diarchy abolished, no diarchy. Powers were divided between central, provincial and concurrent. That means what the constitution said today. Okay, you have three lists: central list, provincial list and concurrent list. All these were part of 35 Act. Now the question says what? How 35 Act, okay, gave a chance for princely states. Okay. How the Act provided, okay, a scope for princely states to become decisive factor. Okay. Main purpose of the Act is to strike balance between different communities and parties. Congress party, you have princely states, you have minorities, right? How to strike a balance among these? Okay. Princely states, see the problem. Princely states occupied 25% nearly of India's soil. Okay. Their income level less than 25. Territorial wise, 25% of Indian land under their control. Princely states, independent states. There are nearly 566 odd princely states are there. But their contribution much less. Their economic development very poor. Okay. Total contribution of princely states for India's wealth, not even 25%. Territory-wise, 25%. Okay. Then why princely states were given undue importance in 35 Act? Where do you see undue importance given to the princely states? In the Central Legislative Assembly, that means present Parliament. In the Central Legislative Assembly, princely states not even 25%. Okay, there are two chambers. In Central Legislative Assembly, you have upper house and lower house. Council of States means upper house. Their princely states got 40% representation. Okay, not even 25%. Princely states, their strength-wise, not even 25%, but representation given to them was 40%. Similarly, lower house, got the point, Central Legislative Assembly, lower house. In the lower house, they got 33% representation. What is your role? Actually, what is your proportionate, strength? 25%. When you are 25% in Indian population or Indian territory, then why are you getting 33% representation? Are you understanding? 40% in the upper house. English gave princely states more than what they deserve representation. Why? Because princely states always supported the English, not Congress party. Okay. If you give more representation for Congress party would definitely capture power, right? Congress party would create a problem. So you should give more representation to princely states who would remain loyal to you. That's why 35 Act gave more representation to the princely states than what they deserve. Are you understanding? Okay. Where do you see this representation given? I told you just now. Why are you bothered about? Are you understanding or not? Where do you see princely states given more representation? In the upper house and the lower house. In both the houses, they were given more representation. Upper house 40%, lower house 33%. Right. Secondly, see the other provisions also. How princely states got weightage here. They got certain rights. They have got certain privileges also. How the 35 Act providing rights and privileges for the princely states. Okay. In the 35 Act it is provided. In the Central Legislative Assembly, you should not raise a question. You should not raise a question on the internal affairs of any princely state. In the Legislative Assembly, princely states shall not be questioned. No question on princely states. That way, princely states' autonomy is recognized. In the legislature, there is no provision for asking a question on the affairs of the princely states. Next, number 3, princely states are also given veto power. If a law is going against their interest, then princely states can give veto, can exercise veto power. Okay. Are you understanding? That way 35 Act actually is submission to the princely states. Okay. That's why this word people cannot understand. Founded on the rock of princely, intransigence. Intransigence means what? Abstinence. Abstinate. You are abstinate means what? You are very particular about rights. I want this. I want this. When you are very particular, then it is called intransigence. So where do you see 35 Act providing for certain guarantees to the princely states? I told you in legislature, upper house, lower house. Secondly, no matter concerning princely states shall be discussed in the Central Legislative Assembly. Next, princely states have veto power also. That's why 35 Act definitely submitted itself to princely states and their demands. Next question is what? They also role. They have a party. States People's Conference is there, a unit party. That's why princely states were worried that, All India States People's Conference, a princely states party, Liberal Federation, princely states party. These parties were against the princes. These parties were supporting Congress party. Congress is supporting them. Congress wants princely states to be democratic. Got the point? Whereas princely states were autocratic. Got the point? So there is a fear in princely states that Congress party may take over the administration. If Congress party comes to power, takes over the administration, then that would pose a major threat for their survival. Right? That's why even British encouraged princely states. Because princely states support always not Congress party, they support British. Got the point? That's why in 35 Act, enough guarantees were given to the princely states. Okay. There are movements in princely states against the princes. So Congress party supporting it. Subhash Chandra Bose openly said, problem of the princely state is a problem of Congress party. Got the point? So that's why princely states are afraid. Clear? Is that what you're asking? Yes. Next question is what? The strength of Pakistan program was its vagueness. It meant everything to everyone. Okay. The strength of Pakistan program was its vagueness. That means the concept of Pakistan is not clear. Okay. It meant everything to everyone. What do you mean by this? The basis for the demand Pakistan, two-nation theory. On what basis Pakistan was demanded? Two-nation theory. Two-nation theory means what? Okay. We are minorities, right? Our language, our culture, our history, our heritage are different. We are Muslims. Our language Persian. Okay. Our history is different. Your history is not our history. Your culture is different, our culture is different. Our religion is different, your religion is different. So religion, culture, history, heritage, language. In all these 5 areas, we are different. That way, we are a nation. What is the criterion for you to call a nation? Okay. When do you use the word nation? When you have a common language, common history, common heritage, common, cultural system, then you are a nation. That way, Muslims felt that they were a nation. Hindus, they continued to blame because our fault also lies with, organizations like Arya Samaj and other things. They continued to say that Indian history means Hindu. Indian culture meant Hindu. Okay. This is where the problem started. If Indian culture is Hindu, I am a Muslim. So what is my culture? This is not Hindu. Are you understanding? This is not Indian. If you say Indian culture is Hindu culture, culture of Muslims, Sikhs, Parsis and Christians, that is definitely not Indian. So the problem here is, it's on the basis of two-nation theory, the concept Pakistan started. Right. What are the other demands on which Pakistan developed? Muslims constitute 1/3 of India's population. You understand? Wherever they constituted majority, they had communal electorates. They demanded the areas where they constitute majority, should be formed into a separate state. Where do you see Muslims constituted majority? Where they have communal electorate? Assam, East Bengal, that means today's Bangladesh. There they constitute a majority. Punjab, Sindh and NWFP. These are the areas where you see Muslims constituted majority. So they wanted certain guarantees. Congress party, majority party. There is no guarantee that the majority Congress party would honor and protect the rights of the minorities. Lucknow Pact 1916, Congress party promised that they would support the demands of Muslim League. They would support separate communal electorates and all that. But unfortunately, in 1928 Motilal Nehru Committee report, Congress Party rejected it. Congress Party rejected the demand of Muslim League for separate communal electorates. So how to trust Congress Party? There are fears, apprehensions that Congress Party may go against the Muslims. That's why they demanded Pakistan. Are you understanding? Okay. 37 elections. In 37 elections, there was a coalition government formed in UP. Congress Party, single largest party. But Congress Party not in a position to form government there. When Muslim League came forward to support Congress Party did not take the support of Muslim League. That also created a problem. Why are you not taking our support? So Muslims felt that they were no more in friendly terms with the Congress Party. Congress not supporting, trusting them. Are you understanding? They want a territory of their own, wherever they constituted a majority. They wanted certain guarantees for their rights and minority issues. Understand? That's why separate Pakistan they demanded. So, idea of Pakistan was based on two-nation theory. If you say Muslims, wherever they constitute majority, they should be given a separate statehood. Then the same thing would apply for Parsis. Same thing would apply for Sikhs. Are you understanding? That's why the question says, it meant everything for everyone. Everything for everyone means not only for Muslims, it also gives a justification for Sikhs to demand a separate state in Punjab. That's why Khalistani movement. Khalistani movement, when you created Pakistan, why not you create Khalistan? For Sikhs. Are you understanding? Okay. So, Pakistan movement gave a justification for other minorities also to think on those lines. If it is Pakistan for Muslim, Khalistan for Sikhs, okay, why not a separate state for Parsis, other minorities? So it meant everything for everyone. Got the point? In Northeast, you have Nagas insurgency. They demanded a separate state. Understand? Wherever you have people with same ethnic features, same demands, there the separatist movements started. Okay. For that, definitely Pakistan movement is the basis. Got the point? So everything for everyone. Oh. Where? This question. You put a full stop there. It meant everything for everyone. Means every minority community had a justification of to demand for an identity of their own. That's it. Got the point? And you must highlight that in fact became the basis for Khalistani movement. Pakistani movement, a logical basis for Khalistani movement of the Sikhs. Okay. And separatist movements in Indian, post-independent India also. Okay. Like that you can say. Dravida movement also. Dravidian movement in the south. Okay. Dravidian movement in the south. We are southern states. We have our own culture. So why not we form into Dravidistan? Like that. Okay. So concept is vague. It is not clear. It is not clear in the sense, within India you can have some guarantees and live within India. But you don't want to live within India. You want a separate state. Okay. It is meant for everything for everyone. Okay. It meant everything for everyone. Everyone, everything, means what? Every community wanted its own identity. Okay. That identity is provided by Pakistani movement. When you are given Pakistan for Muslims, give Khalistan for Sikhs. Are you understanding? give Dravidistan for the South Indians. Okay. There, after independence also, you have insurgency movements there, northeastern states. They are also the same thing. We want independence. Got the point? Fine. Next question. The pace of commercialization of agriculture increased as a result of British revenue policies in India. Okay. Where exactly commercialization of agriculture started and what is it meant by commercialization? Commercialization of agriculture means agriculture for profit, cash crops. When you go for extensive cultivation of cash crops, commercial crops, it is commercialization. Okay. Not going for food crops. You are going for cash crops. Okay. Finally, the motive is what? Profit. Okay. Profit is the center for commercialization of agriculture. Then why commercialization of agriculture? The reasons for commercialization of agriculture. Number one, there was tremendous demand for commercial crops. Every European company that entered India for trade and commerce, they required raw materials. You understand? When Portuguese entered India, Portuguese were trading in what? Spices. Later, Portuguese entered into indigo also. Okay. These are commercial crops. Similarly, Dutch, they wanted cotton. They wanted indigo, commercial crops. When English East India Company entered and established itself, English East India Company further expanded the scope of commercial crops. English East India Company not only wanted cotton, indigo, it also wanted tea, coffee, plantation industry, tobacco. Not a tobacco industry, English never encouraged, Portuguese encouraged it. Okay. Then opium, cultivation of opium. English used to dump opium in China to make profits there in China. Okay. So commercialization was definitely going at a tremendous pace. English also introduced silk industry, sericulture. Understand? Next, you have system of advances they introduce. Okay. How to make Indian peasant cultivate a commercial crop? You have a system of advances called Dadini system. Dadini. Dadini system means take advance. You are Indian peasant, take advance, cultivate commercial crop. Okay. That is Dadini system. Okay. In indigo cultivation, okay, this is system of advances, you call it as Tin Katiya system. Tin Katiya system. 3 by 20th force. Tin means 3. Katiya means measurement. Measuring the land, Katiya. If you have land of 1 acre, 3 by 20th portion of that land, you must spare for indigo cultivation. That's why it's called Tin Katiya system. Take advance. Cultivate indigo. If you are cultivating indigo in 3 by 20th portion after taking advance, then it's called Tingatiya system. So this introduction of these systems was equally responsible for commercialization of agriculture. Right. Now, under the British, once the British became the rulers of India, established their rule, the problem was they forced the Indian peasantry to cultivate commercial crops. Earlier, they used to give advance, make Indian peasant cultivate. Now their policy forced the Indian to cultivate commercial crop. Never it so happened in India. We had commercialization of agriculture from Indus Valley times. Our Indian peasantry going for cotton, commercial crops. But never state interfered. Under the British, Indian peasantry were forced to cultivate cotton in Bombay, Madras and Bengal presidencies. Oil seeds in Madras presidency. Just now I told you, okay, opium and tea, coffee in Bengal Presidency. This forced nature of commercialization is something new under the British. They are forcing because they want that commercial crops. Other reason why commercialization was, going at a tremendous pace was exorbitant rents. Jamindari system. English introduced Jamindari system. English also introduced Rayatwari and Mahalwari systems. Tax was pretty high, very high taxation. When tax was very high, which crop will give you more income? Food crop or cash crop? Which crop will give you more income? Food crop or cash crop? Definitely cash crop gives you more income. Unless income is more, you cannot pay the land tax. If you don't pay the land tax, you lose your land. So commercialization was forced on Indian peasantry for the reason excess of taxation. Okay. If you wanted to keep your land with you, you have to pay the tax. If you don't pay the tax, you lose your land. Then how do you pay the tax? When you have more revenue, more income. More income comes with only commercial crop. That's the reason why commercialization was forced. Are you understanding? Windfall gains, you can make huge profit. Okay. This is again an incentive. Okay. When you are making high profits, heavy profits, definitely you will get attracted for commercial crops. Okay. When did Indian peasantry make huge profits? When American War of Independence started. 1774, America declared war on England. England dependent on America, and America stopped her exports to England. Okay. So England now depended upon India. America stopped exports. So England depended upon India. Okay. For England's sake, our cultivators cultivated extensively commercial crops, made very huge profits. Are you understanding? Similarly, 1861-65 in America itself, there was a civil war between Northern American states and the southern states. During that civil war times also, Indian peasantry could make very huge profits. So when you are making profit, definitely you will get attracted. In other words, right expression is events taking place outside India. Events taking place outside India were equally responsible for commercialization of agriculture. Are you understanding? So I told you the reasons for commercialization. What are the reasons? Number one, European companies wanted raw material. Raw material comes with commercial crops. Next, number two, system of advances. Next, number three, company administration forced the peasantry. Next, number four, excess of taxation. Number five, events taking place outside. Are you understanding? American War of Independence or American Civil War. Okay. They definitely gave Indian peasantry a chance to make profit. That attracted them for commercial crops. Where do you see commercialization? Okay. We see commercialization in almost all the commercial crops. Okay. I told you cotton. Okay. Major commercial crop, cotton. Cotton followed by spices, tea, coffee, and silk industry. Okay. In all these industries, they are all commercial crops. Okay. Commercialization was extensive. Develop the answer that way. Next question is what? Why was the Great Revolt 1857 confined only to North India? Okay. How did it change the character of British rule in the subcontinent? Explain. Okay. Why was the Great Revolt of 1857 confined only to North India? Okay. Where do you see 1857 revolt? The main centers of 1857 revolt UP, Bihar, Bengal. Okay. 1857 revolution, you see in Ara, otherwise Bihar, Ara in Bihar. Bareilly in UP. Delhi, central part of India, capital city. Okay. Then you have, Faizabad, again UP. Jhansi, it comes under UP. Okay. Then you have, Kanpur. Okay. There again UP. Okay. Awadh region, UP. Okay. In all these places, they are the main centers of 1857 revolt. Before that, the beginning of the revolt started at where? Barakpur, Bengal. Mangal Pandey and Ishar Pandey, they belong to the Barakpur regiment, Bengal. So Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, these are the three states where you have revolt concentrated. Now the question is, why there is no revolt in 1857, in South India? Okay. The reasons why there was no revolt, there was no revolt in South India. Number one, you don't have Jamindari classes in South India. Where do you see Jamindars? Jamindars as a class you see in Bengal, Bihar and UP. These are the places where you have Jamindari class concentrated maximum. Okay. That's the reason why revolt concentrated in UP, Bihar, Bengal. You don't have Jamindari class in South India. You don't have Jamindari class in Bombay Presidency. That's why there is no revolt in Bombay Presidency. There are no Jamindari classes in northeastern India. That's why there is no revolt in northeastern India. Forget about all that. In Punjab also you don't have. Rajasthan, Gujarat, where was 1857 revolt? In all these areas you don't have Jamindars, very powerful landlords. Okay, that's why there was no revolt there. Yes. Yeah, Bengal, Bihar, Odisha. They are together. They are the class of Jamindars you have. Right. Second important reason why there was no revolt in South India. In South India, the biggest state, Hyderabad. What's the biggest princely state? Hyderabad is the biggest princely state in entire modern India, not only South India, in entire India, the biggest princely state, Hyderabad. Hyderabad does not mean simply Hyderabad, my dear. Hyderabad means Aurangabad in Maharashtra to Tiruchirappalli in Tamil Nadu. Hyderabad. Within Hyderabad, you have 5 states, 17 districts under the Nawabs. Okay. So Hyderabad, the biggest princely state, and Hyderabad, very friendly state of the English. Got the point? Hyderabad controlled by the English and Hyderabad friendly state of the English. Okay. When revolution started, Asaf-ud-Dawla was the Nawab. Asaf-ud-Dawla was the Nawab of Hyderabad. So a good friend of English. He helped English in suppressing the revolt. Got the point? That's the reason why there's no revolt in South India. Next, third important thing is, most of the South Indian states, Hyderabad, Travancore, Mysore, Karnataka, these states already entered into subsidiary alliance system. Are you understanding? I am giving you the reasons. There is no class of Jamindar, number one. Next, number two, the biggest princely state, Hyderabad, supported the English. Okay. Next, number three, South Indian states, most of them, they already signed subsidiary alliance system. Under subsidiary alliance system, you have British commissioners appointed. Right, British army there. You have British army in Hyderabad. You have British army in Mysore. British army in Travancore. When British army was stationed here, it is very difficult to organize a revolt. That's the reason why no revolt. Next, number four, See the community which participated. In 1857 revolt in North India, it was a do or die struggle for Muslim community. Okay. The last Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah to Zafar. So Muslims were making a desperate attempt to bring back the Mughal administration. Got the point? That's why they participated in large number in 1857 revolt. You don't have sizable Muslim population in South India. In South India. That's the other reason. Okay, why there was no 1857 revolt in South. Are you clear? Okay, fine. Second part of the question is what? How did it change the character of British rule? How 1857 revolt changed the character of the British rule? What was the character of the British rule? Character of the British rule, highly exploitative British rule, highly imperialistic British rule. Are you understanding? At the same time, British also thought about reformism. Three things. Highly exploitative. Number two, highly imperialistic. At the same time, English wanted reform within Indian society. These are the three characteristic features of British administration. After 1857 revolt, all these three underwent a change. There is a marked change in the attitude of the British, in the character of the British. Where do you see this change? This change in character you will find, character of the British administration, you will find in Queen's Proclamation Act. You see, Parliament took over the administration after 1857 revolt. After 1857 revolt, no company administration, Parliament took over the administration. Queen promised what? Number one, no further expansion in India. We will not occupy any Indian territory here afterwards. Before that, 1857, they were occupying Indian territories. That way, they were imperialistic. Now, after 1857, they are giving an assurance. Indian princes, Indian jamindars, we will not go for any further occupation. Right. After 1857, England, British administration was not imperialistic. We will not occupy any Indian territory. There is a marked change in the concept imperialism. Secondly, I said reformism. Before 1857, they introduced reforms. Just now I told you, sati was abolished. Okay, Widow Remarriage Act 1856 was passed. Right. They introduced English education system. After 1857 revolt, they withdrew. No reform. It's because reform introduced, conservative section of Indian society revolted. Are you understanding? So why unnecessarily introducing reform and welcoming a revolution? Where is the change? Change, reformism was given up. English did not continue their policy of reformism. Right? Third important thing, they never included Indians in the administration. Okay, they followed a policy of excluding Indians from the administration. After 1857 revolt, Queen promised that she would promote Indians in decision-making process. There is a change. First, they neglected Indians. They did not promote Indians. Now they are promising, after 1857 revolt, that they will promote Indians in the decision-making. That's why 1861 Indian Councils Act. As per 1861 Indian Councils Act, Indians would also be given representation. Representation in the legislative assemblies. Minimum of 8, maximum of 12 Indian members would be nominated. Okay. Are you understanding? So there is a change in the character of English. They want to win the support of different sections of society. They never bothered about support before 1857 revolt. Now once the revolution started, they are very particular about winning the support. Is it clear? I hope you are not understanding anything I am telling you. You are a confused person, you are looking. Are you understanding what I am telling? Before 1870 volt and after 1870 volt, what is the change? Clear. Fine. Next, why did the demand for land reform never become an agenda in national politics after 1947? Okay. Where do you see this question of land reforms coming into picture? Okay. Land reforms, it was not, post-independent issue. Land reform movement started before India winning independence. Right. It all started with Congress Socialist Party and formation of Communist Party. They wanted the distribution of land for the landless. When you talk of socialism, how will you get socialism? Socialism meant a social sense of equality. In India, there are millions and millions of peasantry, coolie without land. Okay. You have a section of very powerful landed aristocrats with thousands and thousands of acres of land. Unless you end this disparity, you cannot realize socialism. Got the point? That's the reason why even before independence, Congress party was particular about some or the other form of land reform. Implementation of land reforms. In 1937 election manifesto also, they talked about problems of peasantry. If they come to power, they promise that they would solve the problem of the peasantry. They did not promise abolition of Jamindari, Congress party. They did not promise abolition of Jamindari in 37 elections. They only promised relief to the peasantry. How will you provide relief? You have to go for land reform. On the question of land reform only, Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose also differed with each other. One of the reasons why Bose resigned, left Congress party, was the issue land reforms. Bose was a socialist. Socialists in Congress party very particular about implementing the land reform. If land reforms are implemented, then who will get affected? Obviously, Jamindars will get affected. Landed aristocrats get affected. Within Congress party, you have Jamindars and landed aristocrats. They opposed the idea of implementing the land reform. I am a very rich Jamindar. I have thousands and thousands of acres of land. When you are a socialist, you are asking me to distribute my land. Would I distribute? I will not lose my land. I will not distribute my land. So within Congress party, Jamindars and landed aristocrats continue to oppose the policy of implementing the land reforms. That's why even after India winning independence, these landed aristocrats continued to oppose the implementation of land reforms. Are you understanding? There is no change. Even today also you have rich landlords, they will not accept land distribution because they will lose the land. Why land distribution did not figure in the national politics? It's because in every party you have landlords. Don't say Communist Party is, for land distribution. Communist Party leaders are very rich landlords. They talk of land reform, but they will not implement it. Are you understanding it? They will not implement it. They talk of land reforms. Very Telangana separatist movement, Telangana Saida Poratam, you have very rich landlords. They talk of socialism. They talk of land reforms. They talk, but they never implement. This is the problem in Congress party and Communist party, both the parties. After independence also, these were the two popular parties, Congress party and Communist party. So both the parties were not interested actually in implementing land reforms. Number one. Secondly, in 1951, 5-year planning commission was constituted. 1951 planning commission. Their planning commission also said, implementation of land reforms should go phase-wise, gradually. Gradually means you are actually not interested to implement. Are you understanding? You are really interested means immediately you will implement. Okay. So there was lack of sincerity on the part of political parties. Third problem is what? Implementation of land reforms comes under state list or provincial list. It's not under central list. Okay. Every state has its own idea about implementing land reform. When it is under the state list, every state would have its own policy. So there is no uniformity in implementing the land reform. Idea of implementing the land reform. These are the three problems. Are you understanding? Even before independence, India getting independence, Congress party and Communist party, they did not show much interest in implementation. Are you understanding? That's the reason why Bose Gandhi differed with each other. Okay. After independence also, Congress party captured power and Congress party had rich landlords and dominant, talukdars, jamindars there. Okay. 1950 Jamindari Abolition Act was done. But land reforms, land was not distributed. Jamindari abolished, but land remained with them only. They went for binami. Are you understanding? Within the family, they distributed the land. Okay. So lack of sincerity. And other point I said, it comes under state list, not under central list. If it is under central list, it would have become a national issue. Got the point? Fine. Next question is what? Political extremism in colonial India often merged or converged with cultural nationalism. Okay. But not always. See the question 3A. 3A. Political extremism in colonial India often converged with cultural nationalism. Okay. Where do you see political extremism in modern India? Political extremism starting in modern India from 1905. Balagangadhar Tilak, Lala Lajpat Rai, they are all extremists. And Bipin Chandra Pal, Lal Bal Pal, extremism. That's what. Within Congress party, Lal Bal Pal. Outside Congress party, extremism, you have Aurobindo, Baridhar Kumar Ghosh, Bhupendranath Datta. They were extremists outside Congress party. These Congress, people outside Congress party, political extremists, they merged political extremism with cultural extremism. What do you mean by cultural extremism? Swadeshi, Swaraj, total boycott, okay, national education, okay, go for native culture. This is cultural extremism. Okay, I accept only Indian culture. I accept only Indian language. I accept only Indian education system. I don't accept English education system. Are you understanding? So Barindra Kumar Ghosh, Bhupendranath Datta and the other revolutionary and extremist, okay, Aurobindo, okay, outside Congress party, they talked about the cultural extremism. They invoked religion. Okay. They invoked religion where Bhavani cult, Bhim cult. You understand? Bhim and Bhavani symbolically stands for what? Okay, religious symbols. That's where you see cultural nationalism. Within Congress party, where do you see political extremism merging with cultural nationalism? Balagangadhar Tilak. Swaraj is my birthright. Right? He talked about Swaraj. Same Tilak organizing Ganesh festivals, Shivaji festival to attract people and their participation. Then another extremist in the Congress party, Lajpat Rai. Lala Lajpat Rai very closely connected with Arya Samaj. Are you understanding? Cultural nationalism. Arya Samaj major contribution is cultural nationalism. What is cultural nationalism? Okay. Feeling great about India, Indian culture. That's why these extremists gave the slogans Swadeshi, Swaraj, total boycott. This is where you see political extremism joining with cultural nationalism. Got the point? Second part of the question is what? Okay. But not always. But not always. Where do you see not always? Political extremism not always merged with cultural nationalism. Okay. Where do you see? These extremist groups, particularly in 1922, they drifted away from cultural nationalism. Got the point? They continued to focus on political nationalism only. Okay. Where do you see that this cultural nationalism given secondary place, political nationalism given prime place? Okay. When revolutionary movements started, okay, Hindustan People's Republican Party, Republican Army of Bhagat Singh, Rajguru Sukhadev, there they did not bring religion. They used the word socialist. Okay. When they used the word socialist, they are not talking about religion. For that matter, Bhagat Singh wrote a pamphlet, Why I am an atheist? I don't support religion, I don't believe in God. So political extremism not associating with cultural extremism. This started with revolutionary groups after 1922. Bhagat Singh and his revolutionary parties. Next, they did not take cultural nationalism because they were influenced by events taking place outside India. Okay. Outside India, they, revolutionary activities in England, in San Francisco, US, okay, in Germany. Okay. Our extremism had become more international in its outlook, not Indian. Okay. They were influenced by revolutionary movements taking place outside India. So cultural nationalism, okay, was made secondary. Political extremism merged with cultural nationalism in the beginning, okay, but not always. There are also instances where political extremism did not take cultural nationalism. Are you clear? Okay. Where they accepted cultural extremism, where they did not accept cultural extremism. That is the answer. Okay. Particularly from 1922, we did not attach much importance for cultural extremism. In the beginning, we attached. Right. Regionalism in India after 1947 was occasioned by developmental imperatives as much as linguistic particularism. Okay. What were the reasons for the linguistic provinces in India? Okay. Language is utmost essential for us to unite us, for a common administrative system, for getting a judicial system, getting justice dispensed. So for day-to-day functioning of the administration, legislature, executive, judiciary, for to bring people unity in one area, language is very important. That became the basis for reorganization of states, linguistic movement. Andhra Pradesh, the first Rashtra. Andhra Rashtra is the first linguistic state formed in India. Why linguistic state was formed? British created, boundaries of the provinces, okay, haphazardly. They did not bother about implications. Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, Malayali people, they are all made to live together in one place, Madras Presidency. Similarly, in Bombay Presidency, you have Marathas, Parsis, you understand? They were made to live together, you understand? Same is the case in Bengal Presidency. Okay. You have Bengali, you have Bihari, you have Odia. They are all made to live together. Okay. Definitely there were clashes of differences of opinion, difference of culture, difference of, thinking process. This created the problem. That's why after India winning independence, you have a movement for reorganization of states on linguistic basis. I am not telling you reorganization of states on linguistic basis had happened only after India winning independence. It started way back 1913, 1913, when Andhra leaders were the first to ask for separation from Madras Presidency. We are Andhras, we don't want to live in Madras Presidency. Okay, give us a separate state. Telugu speaking people must form into a separate state. Okay. So this language is the consideration for linguistic provinces. Then the question is, how not only language, okay, economic imperatives. Economic imperatives means within the state, a section of the people were benefiting maximum. People of one linguistic group benefiting maximum, people of another linguistic group not benefiting. Okay. I will give you the classic example. In Madras Presidency, okay, the Andhras constituted 40% of the population. Telugu speaking. Telugu speaking, Andhras constituting 40% of population, not have 3% even representation in administration. All important posts in the administration were manned by Tamilians only. Are you understanding? Tamilians dominating in Madras Presidency. 3% of the Telugus, not 3%, not 40% of Telugus, not even 3% representation in administration. Are you understanding? This is where separatist movements also started. Development. One area is development at the expense of the other area. Okay. One area exploiting the resources of the other area. You are not understanding. Within Madras Presidency, okay, Tamil Nadu's main problem, drinking water. They have no water resources. Right? Even today they clash with Karnataka. Kaveri water dispute. So Tamil Nadu wanted to exploit the waters of river Pennar. Okay, Pennar is a proper river flowing in Andhra Pradesh. Okay. So there are clashes of opinion between Tamilians and the Andhras. Tamil Nadu flourishing at the expense of the resources of Andhra. So development of Andhra is lagging behind. Got the point? That's the reason why separatist movement. Separatist movements are for three reasons: water, okay, finance, and employment. Okay. Water, finances, financial allocation, and okay, employment opportunities. These are the three bases. Huh? Representation. Same problem. Representation is equally important. Political representation. Question is about economic imperative. That's why I did not talk about that. Understand? Right. 20 years of peace secured by the Treaty of Salbai proved very costly to the Marathas in strategic terms. First Anglo-Maratha War? First Anglo-Maratha War ended with the Salbai Treaty. 1779 to 1782, you have Anglo-Maratha War, First Anglo-Maratha War. In the Salbai Treaty, the war between Marathas and English ended with the treaty. There Marathas promised to support English against Mysore. Hyder Ali, Tipu Sultan. English agreed to recognize Madhav Narayan as Peshwa, small child as Peshwa. Okay. Marathas gave English Salseti, understand, not by sign, only Salseti. That way, English benefited and Marathas also got a type of advantage. For 20 years, there is no war. Okay. Now the question is what? How these 20 years of time affected Marathas very badly. Okay. It appears that Marathas benefited. But actually this was not a benefit for the Marathas. 20 years peace. That 20 years peace made Maratha armed forces virtually lethargic. Are you understanding? They have no incentive to go for war. Okay. This had a negative effect on Marathas. Okay. 20 years of peace secured by the Treaty of Salbai proved very costly to the Marathas in strategic terms. How it proved very costly to the Marathas in strategic terms? They concentrated, they could not, now they depended upon English. They supported English on Mysore. Okay. That way they became an ally. They became friendly to the English. Without English, they are not in a position to go for war with any country. Any province. In a way, they are dependent upon English. This dependency, proximity to the English, made them insubordinate to English. Okay. For everything, you have to join hands with English. For everything, you are joining hands with English means you don't have independent stand. Okay. That's where Marathas definitely lost. They could not go for expanding in the north. To expand in the south means they have to depend upon English again. So there was no expansion. It's very simple. There was no expansionist activity after the Battle of First Anglo-Maratha War, after the Treaty of Salbai, because they agreed to support English. When you agreed to support English, you can't go against English. Got the point? You can't go against English. English were expanding. Marathas were not able to expand. This is where they lost. Are you understanding? Okay. Madhaji Scindia brought Mughal emperor and made him to sit on the throne of Delhi. Marathas became the kingmakers. But it did not benefit Marathas. They could not expand any territory there. Okay. And you can't enter into the south, as I told you, because Hyderabad princely state depended upon English. Any expansion in south means you are going against English. So they could not go for expansion in the south. Nor they are in a position to expand towards the north. Strategically, it did not benefit them. That's how you have to develop the answer. Right. The Swadeshi movement of 1905 anticipated many of tactics. I have given this question. Okay. How Swadeshi movement affected freedom struggle. That were later developed during Gandhian mass movement. In 1905 Swadeshi movement, okay, Vande Mataram movement. Okay, what are the methods followed by Vande Mataram movement? Swadeshi, total boycott. Okay, total boycott of British goods, institutions. Okay, that is total boycott. Boycott importing goods of England. Boycott export trade with England. Total boycott. Okay. Swadeshi. What is Swadeshi? Go for Indian education system. Go for Indian customs and traditions. Don't follow English education. This is Swadeshi. Swaraj. Okay. The will of the people to prevail. That is Swaraj. We are Indians. Our will shall prevail. These are the three guiding principles of Vande Mataram movement. Okay. How these guiding principles influenced Gandhian movement. Many of the tactics that were later developed during the Gandhian mass movement. Understand? Gandhi incorporated all these ideas. Gandhi in non-cooperation movement gave a call for Swadeshi. Gandhi gave a call for total boycott. Gandhi gave a call for non-cooperation. Don't cooperate with the state. Swadeshi, Swaraj, total boycott, they became part of Gandhian method of struggle. Non-cooperation movement. Gandhi incorporated all this. Okay. In Vande Mataram movement, a call was given for, okay, under Swadeshi, cultural movement, okay, going for native culture, street dramas, okay, and street plays, okay, Janapada, Janapada means folk art. Folk art was encouraged. Gandhi accepted this also, bringing the people, masses into the struggle. Vande Mataram movement made an attempt to bring the mass. Gandhi followed the same thing in non-cooperation movement. Songs inspiring you, you understand? Call it Vande Mataram, the song that continued to inspire non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement. It started with Vande Mataram movement. Okay. So what happened in Vande Mataram movement that continued to inspire Gandhian method. Gandhian method and Gandhian struggle in non-cooperation, civil disobedience, and even in Quit India movement. Okay, total boycott, no tax, no non-cooperation with the state, Swadeshi, Swaraj. They are the principles Gandhi continued to follow in all the movements. Fine. Then trade union movement joined forces with the mainstream of nationalist politics to strengthen each other in their struggle against colonial rule. Okay. When do you see trade union movement starting in India? Okay. First trade union in modern India, Madras Mill Workers Association of B.P. Wadia. What is a trade union? When you have different labor organizations come together in one industry, form into one unit, then it is called trade union. Okay. The first trade union, Madras Mill Workers Association of B.P. Wadia in the textiles industry. Okay. In 1920, you have AITUC formed, All India Trade Union Congress, by N.M. Joshi. When AITUC was formed, from thenceforth, AITUC and Congress joining hands with each other. Okay. AITUC completely supporting Congress party. It's more like an organ of the Congress party. N.M. Joshi invited Lajpat Rai to preside over the session, Bombay session. Lajpat Rai was the president, Lal Lajpat Rai. AITUC's first session in Bombay was presided over by Lala Lajpat Rai, Congress party president. Motilal Nehru, Congress leaders attended. Okay. How to work out the agenda of AITUC? AITUC depended upon Congress party leaders. Question is about the cooperation between AITUC and Congress party. That is the question. Trade union movement, how it supported freedom struggle. Okay. At every stage, Congress party supporting AITUC and AITUC extending its support. Okay. When Simon Commission entered India, Congress party gave a call for boycotting Simon Commission. AITUC took part in boycotting Simon Commission. When civil disobedience movement started, AITUC played a very important role supporting Congress party. Okay. Unfortunately, within AITUC, serious differences started. When communists entered into AITUC, there the real problem started. Question was, when communists entered, whether to support Congress party or not. Communist party wanted its own role in freedom struggle. AITUC, a section of AITUC came under the control of the Communist Party. Communist Party never accepted Congress Party because Congress Party, I told you, you have industrialists, you have capitalists, and you have very rich landlords. Communists never accept that. Okay. So Communist Party's question whether to support Congress Party or not. Okay. When civil disobedience movement started, Communist Party supported Congress Party in the beginning. Understand? When civil disobedience movement failed, Communist Party withdrew its support to Congress Party and started blaming Congress Party. Okay. This affected AITUC also. Okay. Within AITUC, a section under the influence of Communist Party, they had not supported Congress Party. Another section under N.M. Joshi, V.V. Giri, they continued to support Congress Party. Okay. Then when Quit India movement started, there also they participated. AITUC, labor unions, actively supporting in Quit India movement. Quit India movement was boycotted by Communist Party. Are you understanding what I am telling? So there were instances where trade union movement supported Congress. There are also instances where trade union movement under the influence of Communist Party not supporting the nationalist movement. You know, in 1942 Quit India movement, Communists supported English. They did not support Congress Party. Are you aware of this or not? Communist Party of India supported the British. They did not support Congress Party. Why? Because Russia joined hands with England. It's that Communist Russia joined hands with England. Our communists also became friendly with the English. They did not support Congress Party. Okay. So labor class movement, trade union movement, by and large, supported Congress Party. But there are also instances where it did go against the Congress Party. Are you clear? That's what you have to write. Next question, the last in modern India. India's development strategy after independence was influenced by economic imperatives, not ideological considerations. Okay. India's development after independence was influenced by what consideration? Economic consideration or ideological consideration? What is ideological consideration? After India winning independence, Nehru was the Prime Minister. Nehru was a socialist. Okay. So, development strategy, development planning, was it influenced by socialism entirely or influenced by practical considerations? Okay. Wording is what? Economic imperatives. What is required for the development of economy? That is important. Or ideology important? It was influenced more by economic imperatives. Nehru knew, he was a socialist. Nehru knew the problems of India. What are the problems of India? Poverty. Number one. Number two, no capital formation. If you are a socialist, you want only socialist path of development, who will invest in India? Where is money for you to invest? Okay. So, economic development means there is no place for ideological consideration here. That's why way back 1944, even before India winning independence, Nehru asked industrialists to come together and draft a plan. That's called Bombay Plan. In 1944, industrialists drafted a plan called Bombay Plan. Ghanshyam Das Birla, J.D. Tata, industrialists, okay, they drafted Bombay Plan. They wanted capitalists should be given freedom. State also could interfere wherever it is required. They struck a balance. Socialism means state interference. We are not against state interference. You interfere, but allow us also to perform. Are you understanding? So Nehru was giving consideration here, consideration for economic development, economic imperative. After India getting independence, when he became Prime Minister, he took the support of capitalist powers only. Okay. Economic development, you will see it with energy, generating energy and power. All your power plants founded in Roorkee, okay, Durgapur, okay, they are all founded by England and Russia. Russia is socialist country. You have England supporting you, Germany supporting you. Germany and England were not socialists, they are capitalists. So Nehru taking support of capitalist powers also. Are you understanding? There was food crisis in India. Who provided foodstuffs? United States provided us foodstuffs. United States is a capitalist country. So economic imperatives definitely made Nehru, okay, to go by economic considerations only, okay, not entirely by ideological. Are you understanding? Pragmatic. That's how you have to write the answer. This is end of modern India. Okay, go for your break. Okay, I'll take 10 minutes break. Okay, I'll come for world history.
Does the vast syllabus of general studies for the UPSC prelims overwhelm you to initiate your preparation for the civil services examination? Is your apprehension and self-doubt coming in the way of your success in joining the civil services? Comprehend your preparation for UPSC Prelims 2025 with the fast-track course targeting general studies with innovative curriculum, revision and mentorship. Starting from 19th November at 1 p.m., the course offers coverage of UPSC GS Prelims subjects, dedicated mentorship support and guidance for performance maximization, access to PT 365 classes for current affairs preparation, sectional mini tests for regular assessment and performance, personalized student portal to access study material, access to live and online classes. Enroll today and make prelims your stepping stone to proceed to the UPSC mains.
In section B, you have world history. Okay. See the questions in world history. The ideas raised by enlightened thinkers were profoundly unsettling and challenging to old regime society and political order. Right. Who were these Enlightenment thinkers? You know, in 18th century Europe, you have Age of Enlightenment. In this Age of Enlightenment, you have Montesquieu, Voltaire, Rousseau, understand? Then Diderot, okay, economic school of economists called physiocrats. They are all highly advanced intellectually. Okay. Montesquieu's text, The Spirit of Laws. There, in The Spirit of Laws, Montesquieu suggested for separation of power, theory of separation of power. Power must be separated in sense between the three organs, legislature, executive and judiciary. If power is concentrated, okay, then it would lead to corruption. Absolute power leads to absolute corruption. Power must be separated. Montesquieu is talking about this separation, theory of separation of powers in the context of France. In France, you had absolute monarchy. Absolute monarchy, autocratic, all powers concentrated in the hands of the king. So Montesquieu is indirectly criticizing the French polity. Next to Montesquieu, you have Voltaire. Voltaire is like king amongst the philosophers. You call him King Voltaire, king amongst the philosophers. Voltaire questioned not only the political system. Voltaire made a comparative study between France and England. In France, you have monarchy. In England, you have democracy. A neighboring country of France, England. England has democracy. Okay. It is like we comparing with China and Pakistan comparing with us. Comparison is unavoidable between two countries, neighboring countries. So Voltaire here is terribly upset to see the development of England, how England was progressing, how France was lagging behind under monarchy. Okay. Enlightenment thinkers were questioning all the institutions. What are the institutions? Number one, monarchy. Number two, religion. Church exploiting the people. Voltaire questioned church. Moral and ethical right of church exploiting the people. Church officers collecting taxes from the people and they lead a luxurious life. You make the people to suffer. What justification is there? Okay. Voltaire wrote letters on English, comparing France with England. Voltaire bitter in his criticism against religion. Next to Voltaire, you have Rousseau, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, most profound thinker, most popular philosopher Rousseau. Okay. You know Rousseau's popular contribution, text social contract. There in social contract, Rousseau made it very clear. It's because of people willing cooperation, state was for. All of us surrendered our rights, our privileges to the state. Why we surrendered our rights? With the expectation that the state would protect us, our life and property. If you are not discharging your duty, then we have every right to dismantle, every right to remove the state. Are you understanding? Rousseau is indirectly suggesting for a revolt, not directly. When people are supreme, when people created the state, people have every right to remove the state when state is not discharging its duty. There Rousseau used the word general will, popular sovereignty. Popular sovereignty, people's sovereignty. General will, the will of the people supreme, not the will of the king. Okay. Rousseau a Democrat. Then Rousseau questioned social inequality. There's lot of disparity here in social equality. In French society, you have feudal class enjoying all privileges. Not even 2% of the French population. Or 40% of French population, starving deaths are taking place. They are suffering poverty. Understand? Why this economic disparity? Rousseau, a socialist. Rousseau gave his idea of social equality. Okay. In his text, he wrote a treatise, a discourse on the origin of inequality. Okay. Rousseau very particular about civil rights and liberties. In monarchy, in autocracy, you will not have civil rights and liberties. What they say, that is law. Okay. Rousseau's popular quote, man is born free, but is found in chains everywhere. Rousseau is giving a call to break the chain for the sake of liberty and freedom. Rousseau was against all limitations. Limitations imposed by family, limitations imposed by church, society on individual. Are you understanding? Rousseau, an absolute liberator. He wants absolute liberty. Okay. So these thinkers, and I mentioned about another school, physiocrats, economists. These economists called physiocrats, they were against monopoly rights. Why a section of society only permitted to trade? Why only a section of society has accessibility to resources? Equal opportunity must be there for economic development. So, finally the question is what? Ideas raised by enlightened thinkers. These are the ideas raised by enlightened thinkers. Okay, were profoundly unsettling and challenging the old regime, society and political order. They definitely challenged polity, monarchy. They definitely challenged social inequality. They definitely challenged religion exploiting the people. Are you clear? Three things they challenged. One is political system. Second, church. Third, absolute authority. And also fourth, social inequality. Clear? Next question is, American Civil War was result of disparity of needs of industrial north and agrarian south. In American history, okay, United States of America, second question. 1861 to 65, there was a civil war. Okay. Civil war between Northern American states and the Southern American states. Northern American states, Southern American states within America. Okay. Going for a war with each other. That's called civil war. Why the civil war? Northern American states industrially very well developed. Southern American states completely depended on agriculture. Okay. There is no industrial development in the South. Northern American states educationally very well developed. All universities, they are there in Northern American, states. Whereas the South was completely lagging behind in education. Northern American states enjoyed protection. Okay. Protection under federal financing. There's a federal system of administration, government. Federal government providing protection for trade, commerce, industry. No competition, no foreign country enter into American market. Right? You are developing infrastructure. You are developing infrastructure, you are protecting the native industry means this benefits the North or the South. Okay. When you are developing infrastructure, that benefits definitely North, because North depended on industry. Infrastructure means development of industry. Development of industry means North American states benefiting. Central government of America, you call federal government. Federal government not taking any developmental measures to develop agriculture. Are you understanding? So there is a partiality. Okay, there is a differential treatment. Central government giving for the northern states against the southern states. This is where the real problem started, between the north and the southern states. Added to this problem, slavery. Okay. South depended, agricultural economy South. South agriculturally depended, they require slaves. Require slaves to work in their agriculture fields. So slavery was indispensable. You cannot work out without slavery for the South. Whereas slavery indispensable for the South was highly objectionable for North. Our American Constitution banned slavery. You South, you are practicing slavery. Slavery is a nation's shame. Are you understanding? Northern American states, they don't require slavery. That's why they are telling slavery is a shame. Are you understanding? They started blaming the southern states that they are practicing slavery. But the problem here is, southern states actually they don't want slavery. Are you understanding? But without slavery they cannot go for agriculture. Okay, I don't want slavery, but who will go for agriculture? You have to sow the seed, you have to harvest the crop. Who will do that? The necessity of the South was a national evil for the North. Northern states branded southern states as sinners, practicing slavery. This is where North-South divide had taken an extreme form. American intellectual, Northern American intellectual, Madam H.B. Stowe, she wrote a novel, Uncle Tom's Cabin. This novel is about how slaves were being exploited in the southern states. For the southern states, this is unwanted interference. You are talking about we exploiting the slaves? How about you people exploiting the labor class in your industry? Northern states exploiting the labor class in their industries and factories. In what way this is different from slavery? You are telling about black slaves in the South. You are practicing white slaves, you are exploiting them in your factories. Are you understanding? Each one blaming the other. Okay. Added to this problem, the question of slavery, you have slavery is connected with political ideas, political interests. How slavery is connected with political issues? Now in America, new states were formed. Okay. There are 26 states. Actually, when they were formed, 13 states. Now 13 had become 26, 24 by the time Civil War started. Expansion, new states were formed. People going there and settling there, new states were formed. Now the question, these new states should join American Union or federal government as states with slavery or without slavery. Are you understanding? If a new states join American government practicing slavery, it is advantage for northern states or a southern state. It would be advantage for which states are practicing slavery? Huh? Southern states. That would be advantage for southern states because they will become majority. Are you understanding? If a new state joining American Union as a state without slavery, that would be advantage for northern states. They will become majority. So question of slavery is very much connected to political interest here. Okay. It would decide who will become majority in America, southern states or northern states. Got the point? Okay. There are bitter clashes between the north and the south, Mississippi, California, Texas, when they joined. Okay. Kansas, Nebraska, these were the states that joined. Okay. South wanted them to join as states without slavery. North wanted them to join as states. South wanted them without, South wanted them with slavery. North wanted them without slavery. Okay. Supreme Court gave a judgment on issue slavery. Okay. What is this judgment? 1856, there's a judgment by Supreme Court. One Negro slave, Dred Scott, he filed a case in Supreme Court, asking Supreme Court to decide whether he is a slave or not. Okay. Because he had gone to a state where there is no slavery. He was actually a slave. He went twice to a state where there was no slavery. So it is that he had gone to a state where there is no slavery. Was he a slave or not? Are you understanding? In Karol Bagh you have slavery. In Patel Nagar you have no slavery. I am a slave. My master took me to Patel Nagar twice. So when I go to Patel Nagar where there is no slavery, am I still a slave or not? Okay. This is the question. Supreme Court gave a judgment saying what? Negroes have no rights. Negro, you continue to be a slave because you are not a citizen. Negroes are not citizens. It is not that they are citizens, not the citizens. They have no rights. You are purchased by your master. When you are purchased by your master, you are the property of your master. Are you understanding? This judgment created the problem. Northern states thoroughly disappointed. It's a victory for the southern states. Elections were held. Abraham Lincoln, supported by the northern states. He was against the institution slavery. Okay. When Abraham Lincoln won the election, that was not acceptable for the southern states. They decided to separate or secessionist. They decided to secede. Secede means to, separate from the union. That's how Civil War started. So definitely Civil War was a crisis between an industrial economy and agricultural economy. Clear? Unification of Germany. These are all 10 marks questions only, 150 words, short note questions. Was as much a product of coal and iron as it was of blood and iron. Okay. Coal and iron. Where do you see coal and iron? You know blood and iron. Okay. Who achieved unification of Germany? It was Bismarck. Germany was divided between Denmark, Austria, France. Are you understanding? Bismarck, Prime Minister of Prussia. Prussia, Prussia. Prussians were Germans. So Bismarck, he wanted to bring entire Germany under one single control of Prussia. Okay, by liberating Germany from Denmark, Austria, and France. Right. So Bismarck went for war with Denmark, defeated Denmark first. Then Bismarck went for war with Austria. Second, he defeated Austria. Okay. Here he followed a policy called blood and iron. Blood for sacrifice. Are you ready for death? Blood means sacrifice, ultimate sacrifice for a united Germany. Iron is a very strong metal. Iron symbolically stands for willpower. Do you have the willpower for a united Germany? That's why iron will. Are you understanding? Are you ready for sacrifice? That's why blood. Are you understanding? So in German unification, Bismarck's policy was blood and iron. That means ready for sacrifice and will to make it. When Parliament refused to accept his reforms, Bismarck threatened to dissolve the Parliament. Are you understanding? This is iron will. Bismarck went for recruiting new army, Prussian army, thoroughly sophisticated army, ready for action. That means what? That is blood. Army ready for sacrifice. Parliament, he threatened Parliament. Unless they accept his reforms, he will not accept the existence of Parliament. He will remove the Parliament. Understand? Just like our Sardar Patel taking very tough decisions. Okay. Sometimes you have to take tough decision. No place for discussion and all that. Got the point? So when you take tough decision, then it is iron. You are doing it with will, strong will. Iron is a symbolic expression for strong will. You are ready for sacrifice, then it is blood. Now the question is, it's not only blood and iron, coal and iron. Okay, what do you mean by coal and iron? Huh? Huh? Raw material. Where? Why coal and iron you are bringing now? It's because, you see, Bismarck had no problem with Austria. Bismarck had no problem actually with Denmark. Only that they occupied Germany. He could defeat them and he could bring them. His real problem was with France. Why? Because France occupied Alsace and Lorraine. Alsace and Lorraine very rich for iron deposits. Got the point? Right. Saar Valley very rich for coal. Okay. France entered into these areas. France claimed Alsace and Lorraine, which are very rich for iron. You are to defeat France. You have to go for war with France. Otherwise, you cannot complete German unification. Okay. That's why when Bismarck went for war with France, okay, Franco-Prussian War, 1870, he defeated France. After defeating France, immediately Bismarck occupied Alsace and Lorraine, very rich in iron and coal. That's where, okay, it is said, not only blood and iron, coal and iron, equally important for German unification. Huh? No, blood and iron is background. Right. First it started with blood and iron. Okay. The logical end of blood and iron is coal and iron. That means last war he had with France. France occupied Alsace and Lorraine, which are very rich for coal and iron. Okay. He occupying Alsace and Lorraine, very rich for coal and iron, was the main reason, one of the main reasons for World War I. Because now France lost a rich coal mine, okay, iron mine. France tried to compensate the loss by exploiting iron ore in Congo, Africa. Germany entered there also, not allowing France to exploit iron. So this is the problem. Got the point? Fine. Next. The new regime in China addressed the peasant question by instituting wholesale land distribution, which was carried out swiftly and ruthlessly. You know China, Communist China? Okay. Where you see Communist Party was formed in China, CCP, Chinese Communist Party was formed way back 1923. Onwards, they tried to bring communist, policies, implement communist policies. Mao Zedong, Zhou Enlai, Mao Zedong, Li Chao, Li Shaoqi. These are all great communist thinkers of China. They founded CCP. Mao Zedong, okay, when you want to implement socialism and communism, first important area is land reform. That's why in India also we are very particular about land reforms. Okay. Then how will you implement land reforms? In China you have feudal classes. In China you have religious institutions owning vast tracts of land. Okay. This started in 1926. Okay. When Mao entered into Shanxi, there's a place called Shanxi. Okay. There he was convinced that land reform is a must. Then Mao started long march. Okay. Guangxi to Yunnan Valley, Yunnan region. Mao started long march, historic long march. How would you realize socialism and communism? Unless you give land for the workers, land for the peasantry, they will not be attracted to socialism. You have to give them some incentive. You must attract them. Understand? What is the attraction for peasantry and the labor class? Land is attraction. Okay, that's why Mao was very clear about implementation of land reforms. Okay, it's because of Mao's long march. Okay, major section of China came under his influence, control. When Mao was moving forward with socialist and communist guerrilla squads, okay, fighting started between Mao's Communist Party and China's ruling party, that is called Kuomintang Party of Yuan Shaka, Kuomintang Party of Chiang Kai-shek versus Mao's Communist Party. Chiang Kai-shek's party completely supported by landlords, feudal class, landlords, capitalists. Okay. Maoist Communist Party supported by peasantry. Peasantry supporting them because Mao promised land reforms. Right. By 1939, you see, Mao could implement land reforms in the areas that came under the control of the Communist Party. That's how communists became very popular. When some areas you are implement land reforms means the people of other areas will also get attracted. Other areas will also definitely get motivated. Now communists wanted to expand this implementation of land reforms. In 1946, after World War II ended by 45. In 1946, you have civil war again, starting between Mao's Communist Party and the Nationalist Party. Okay. In 1946, Mao issued orders that village committees, you form village committee itself will administer the village. He authorized village committees to occupy the lands and distribute for the landless. Okay. Whoever that opposed land reform, feudal class and the church officers, they were mercilessly being killed. Are you understand? This is what happened in Russia also. Class struggle is unavoidable. Okay. If you try to occupy my land, I am a very rich landlord. Okay. You think I will keep quiet? Class struggle will start. Okay. That way, class struggle started in China. Mao ordered for execution of feudal class, whoever that opposed it. Okay. Why he is very particular about implementing land reform? That will promote socialism, that will also give support of working class, labor class, peasantry for the Communist Party. Okay. By 1951, the land reform, land distribution in China was completed. In 1949, China became Communist Republic. Chiang Kai-shek left China and ran away to Taiwan. You understand? Mao completed the task of redistribution of land. Okay. Though there was severe protest from the landlords and the religious institutions. Fine. The revolution of 1989 did not simply destroy governments. Okay. The revolutions, they also ended ideology. This question is about what? Communist governments, collapse of Russia. Okay. Question last one. Okay. E. 5. 5E. Okay. Short note question. Question is about revolutions of 1989. Okay. In Soviet Russia, against Communist Party, there were revolutions. Understand? There was a massive movement in Russia. Russia wanted to go for democracy against communist government. Boris Yeltsin was the leader against Gorbachev and his communist party. When Yeltsin was not elected to the parliament, there was a massive protest in Russia in support of Yeltsin. You understand? At the same time, you see, communist bloc was there. Communist bloc consisting of European countries, Czechoslovakia, East Germany, they are all under the communist government. Poland. There are also people's movements against communist governments. Okay. Finally, all communist governments collapsed. Russia also collapsed. By 1992, December 25th, USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, it ended. Okay, because they withdrew 15 republics. Of the 15 republics, 12 republics left Union. They became independent. Okay. So collapse of communist governments is also collapse of end of ideology, communist ideology. Clear? Fine. People's movement. It was a movement for independence. It's a movement for ending communism. Right. It also, not only destroyed governments, it also ended an ideology. Communist governments ended. End of ideology means end of communist ideology. Fine. The course of English industrialization was too long, drawn to be considered a revolution. What happened in Industrial Revolution? In Industrial Revolution, from 1749 onwards, major discoveries were taking place. All these major discoveries had not taken place at a time. Generally, a revolution means it starts at one point. Quickly, it ends in another point. Any revolution would have a beginning point and an ending point. Whereas Industrial Revolution had only a beginning point. It has no ending point. It is still going on. One revolution which is still going on is Industrial Revolution. You could only start. You cannot end it. You cannot end it because every day you go for some new discovery, some new change in the technology and production process. So one revolution which has no end, that is Industrial Revolution. That would end the day when man is not seen on this earth. Are you understanding? Okay. Can you call it a revolution? Because revolution is one event with a beginning point and an ending point. When there is no ending point for Industrial Revolution, how can you call it a revolution? So historians, some of them prefer to call it Industrial Evolution, not Industrial Revolution. Over a period of time it developed. That's why Industrial Evolution rather than industrial evolution. Secondly, all these major discoveries, they had not taken place at a time. Okay. John Kay, flying shuttle, James Hargreaves, spinning jenny, right? Arkwright, mule, Cartwright, power loom, okay? And these are major discoveries in textiles industry. Okay. Then in mining industry, Humphrey Davy, safety lamp. Go to communication industry, Stephenson's locomotive engine, steam engine. Okay. James Watt steam engine, that became the basis for Stephenson's locomotive engine. Understand? These discoveries started over a period of time. Okay. That's why it is difficult to call it a revolution. Rather it is better to call it as a evolution. Are you clear? Fine. Yeah. Industrial revolution was too long drawn to be considered a revolution. Yes. It was too long. Even today, in developments are going on. So it is too long to be considered a revolution. Agreed. You have to discuss what is industrial revolution. You have to discuss major discoveries, and you have to give in a conclusion. It is still going on. That's why it is better to call it as evolution than a revolution. Okay. Next one is the social and political landscape of Europe after First World War was uniquely suited to the rise of fascism. Discuss. Social and political landscape of Europe after the First World War was uniquely suited for the rise of fascism. What happened after First World War? First World War ended with Paris Treaty. In the Paris Treaty, Germany was divided between Poland, Belgium, Lithuania, and Czechoslovakia. Small states were created. What are these small states? Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Romania, Hungary, small states. Okay. These small states created were not in a position to survive. Okay. England, France, US, they are not bothered about the question of the survival of these small states. They simply created small states. Okay. Political map of Europe, when it comes to Italy, what happened to Italy? Italy participated in Paris Treaty. Italy wanted Dadakani Islands, but Dadakani Islands were given to Greece, not for Italy. Italy wanted Flume, part of Flume only given to Italy. Italy felt terribly upset. Italy, actually in the company of Germany, Austria and Turkey, against England, France and US. When the war started, Italy left this company, joined hands with England, France and US, expecting that she would gain something. But unfortunately, Italy did not gain anything. Italy got part of Flume. The Dadanis were not given to Italy. This is where Italians were thoroughly disappointed. Understand? That disappointment a cause for fascism. Secondly, Italy's population was growing. It was, going phenomenally. Along with this growth of population, there is no development. Unemployment was reigning supreme in Italy. Production was crippled in Italy. Industry was passing through a crisis. Why industrial development was not surging ahead? Italy faced a problem in the form of socialism. There were labor class movements in Italy. Wherever you have socialism, there you will have labor class movements, communist movements, labor class movements. They were not allowing Italy to flourish. Lockouts were there. Industrial unrest was there. This is equally a cause for rise of fascism. Because Mussolini, okay, he was anti-socialist. No socialism, because socialism is disrupting the economy. Are you understanding? Mussolini promising employment for youth. Mussolini promising, okay, avenging humiliation. Array, in Paris Treaty we are humiliated, we are cheated. We will definitely go for retaliation. Are you understanding? Then another problem, Italy required resources. For resources' sake, Mussolini had to go for war. Occupy Albania. Occupy Abyssinia. Abyssinia means Ethiopia. Okay. In 1936, Mussolini occupied Ethiopia. That's how World War II had its beginnings. War started in 1939, but Mussolini entering into Abyssinia. Okay. Because there is resources, they require colony, they require resources. Albania, a small country created. Mussolini made Albania to try to sign a treaty because these small states very weak. Yugoslavia also depended on Italy. So political map of Europe after World War I suited for the rise of fascism. Social economic conditions in Italy also suited for rise of fascism because there is anarchy, restlessness in Italy. Okay. Only a dictator can bring order. Answer, fascism. Right. That's why Mussolini promised everything for everyone. Employment for youth, for the nationalist patriots, avenging the humiliation. For capitalists, no socialism. Are you understanding? Protection from socialism. For workers, okay, there is unrest, I told you. Workers, you want better wage. Don't talk of socialism. Mussolini provided better wages. For that, he created syndicates in every industry. Syndicates consisting of workers and the capitalists. They proved very successful. Okay. So conditions favored for the rise of fascism. Okay. And that led to World War II. Okay. The state was the most important factor in the industrialization of Russia. Comment. How industrialization started in Russia, my dear? Russia, the most expanded country in Europe, biggest. But this biggest and the most expanded country, Russia, did not see industrialization for a long, long time. Why there was no industrialization in Russia? There was no industrialization in Russia for a long time because Russia, feudalistic Russia. Feudalism. Next, number two, Russia depended more on agriculture. Problem with Russia, though it depended more on agriculture, lack of land. In most of the times, you see Russia covered by ice, okay, snow. When land is covered by ice and snow, it is not convenient for agriculture. Okay, that's why there was very slow development of industry in Russia. Then where actually industrialization started in Russia? Question is what? Okay. State was the most important factor in the industrialization of Russia. State means king. Russia was ruled by Romanov dynasty. Romanovs. Okay. One of the kings of Romanov dynasty, Peter the Great. Industrialization in Russia started with Peter the Great first. Peter had his education in London. He is a technical graduate. He worked in the harbors of London. Okay. He realized the importance of industry for Russia. So process of industrialization started in Russia with Peter the Great. How do you start industrialization in Russia? Main problem, you have no capital. Investment is very important. Okay. Technological knowledge is very important. Russia depended on France. Class, remember? France invested 51%. 51% of investments were owned by France in Russia. So he welcomed France to invest in Russia. It's because of this Russia entered into oil processing, shipbuilding, coal mining industries. All this started under Peter the Great. Peter the Great's daughter, after him, his daughter, Catherine the Great came to power. Catherine. She continued the policy of her father. Okay. That's why industrialization continued to develop in Russia. Okay. State sponsored. How it is sponsored? After Catherine the Great, you have Nicholas. He also supported industrialization process. So in Russia, industrialization was not the work of capitalists or industrialists. It was first the work of the state. State itself taking the interest. King himself taking the interest. Are you understanding? Okay. That's how coal mining, oil processing, okay, industries developing in Russia. Fine. This before Russian Revolution. After the Russian Revolution, 1917, completely it is the work of state. Lenin nationalizing the industries. After Lenin, Stalin. Stalin gave lot importance for heavy industry, major industry. Okay. So before Revolution 1917, after the Revolution 1917, it is completely the work of state. Are you understanding? Fine. Next question. Second World War was a truly global conflict. Second World War was truly global conflict. Discuss. Second World War was between what, blocks, what groups. Second World War was between England, France, US, Russia. This is one group. Against this group, Allied powers. What are the Allied powers? England, France, US, and Russia. Against these Allied powers, you have, Axis powers. What are the Axis powers? Japan, Germany, Italy. Axis. Berlin, Tokyo, Rome. Axis. Axis powers versus Allied powers. That's where it is a world war. World war, global, because all the continents were affected. Europe, Africa, war in Africa, war in Asia, and war in all the continents. Global clashes. Wherever they encountered each other, there was war. Okay. Question is was what? Truly global. Truly global, yes. Understand? Then you have war. War everywhere. In the sky, under the sea, and on land. Continental. That way is also global. Okay. Global in the sense, every country was affected. Every continent was affected. One way or the other. That way it is global. Are you clear? Okay. Major countries all involved. Okay. You see China, their war started. You understand? It affected China. It affected India. We also joined World War II. Remember? Fighting on behalf of England. African countries joined World War II on behalf of England and France. Okay. Everywhere it is war. Okay. That way it is global, undoubtedly. Trace the different stages of European economic integration. How Europe was integrated. Today you have euro dollar. Today you have euro dollar. Okay. If you have one license, that license is valid all over Europe. Okay. European Economic Union. Where actually this concept European Economic Union started? From the beginning, Europe felt that they were one. There are so many countries. In spite of these countries, always there is one feeling that Europe is one single entity. Got the point? This is because religion Christianity. Okay. Roman Catholic religion. For the Roman Catholic religion, entire Christian world is one. Russia to France, Italy, entire Europe is one single unit according to Christianity. That's why from the beginning they felt they are one in spite of differences. Okay. Very often they used to assemble when there are common problems. In spite of differences as countries, they used to come together. This happened in 30 Years' War, 1618 to 1648. 1618 to 1648, there was 30 Years' War between Protestants and Catholics. That war ended with Westphalia Treaty. When war ended, all European nations participated. They are coming together. After that, Napoleonic Empire. Napoleon disturbed peace in Europe, going for war with every country. Then all European nations came together against Napoleon. Battle of Nations. You understand? After Napoleon, economic union. Where do you see economic unionism started? Just now I told you in German unification, you have Prussia. Got the point? Prussia, a country. First country to go for a free economic zone. In Russia, there were 60 districts. Every district has one economic zone. It's because 60 economic zones, you are not able to move freely. You are not able to transport your goods from one area to the other area. Everywhere you have to pay taxes. Why this problem? Okay. That's why Prussia became the first country to go for free economic zone called Zollverein. Zollverein. Right. This started in 1819, 1819 in Prussia. Okay. For economic, trade and commercial interests. Zollverein. Okay. Free economic zone. That means 60 districts are not anymore 60 economic zones. Only one economic zone. You don't have to pay taxes, free flow of goods and transport and all that. Okay. What is very interesting is this economic zone called Zollverein, free economic zone called Zollverein, was joined by German states also. Prussia is different, Germany is different at the time. But German states also joined the Zollverein. Are you understanding? Tomorrow, India is completely a free economic zone. Let us say that. Okay. We are economic zone, right? Then Bangladesh wants to join. Pakistan also wants to join. Finally, China also wants to join. Let us say that. Then this whole Asia will become a completely free economic zone, economic union. That's how it happened. Okay. It all started with free economic zone in Prussia, economic union called Zollverein. Then after World War One, when World War One took place, after World War One, you have League of Nations, an international organization formed. German statesmen, European statesmen, they felt the need of one economic union for entire Europe. Okay, why not we all countries of Europe come together? This was for the first time organized, for the first time revealed in an international forum that is called League of Nations. There they expressed the will for economic union, but it did not materialize. Winston Churchill, Prime Minister of England, during World War II also said that Europe must come together, form into economic states, different states, economic states, form into economic union. Why they are very particular about this economic union? When we all come together and form into one economic zone, there won't be wars. Europe was responsible for 2 world wars. When it's because we are divided. When we are united, there is no scope for war. You can avoid war. That is the main consideration. Then other turning point here is France, Italy, Luxembourg, Belgium, okay, Denmark. They came together and formed into economic union. Okay. Then there is a treaty. Okay. In 1992. Okay. Other European countries also joined. That's how finally you have economic union taking a concrete shape by 1992. Then euro currency entered. Every country get to use euro currency. Okay, one currency for entire Europe. You understand? These are the different stages. Okay.
Completing the syllabus without proper knowledge of current affairs will not take you far in the UPSC Civil Services examination. Regulate and transform your preparation with complete coverage of news of relevance. Get a concrete hold of current affairs for UPSC CSE with Vision IS Monthly Current Affairs Revision Program starting from 20th September at 5 p.m. The program is your guide to get comprehensive news on one platform sourced through relevant resources such as The Hindu, Indian Express, Economic Times, PIB, Yojana and others. Enroll for complete coverage of current affairs including Indian polity and constitution, economy, international relations, and more. Comprehensive assessment of preparation through MCQs and mains-oriented questions. Expert support through personalized mentoring and online doubt resolution.
Nature of apartheid regime undermines South Africa's claim of being a democratic polity. What happened in South Africa, my dear? In South Africa, you have the native tribe Zulu. They are called Zulu, native African. 80% of this Zulu population controlled by 20% of the whites. There are whites settled in South Africa. The white racist regime, because they followed racism, you call their policy apartheid. What is apartheid? Apartheid is discrimination. Discrimination of one by the other in every walk of life. Under apartheid, whites had their own education centers. They had their own localities. They had their own theaters. They had their own hospitals. In all these places, Negroes were not allowed. I mean, Native Africans were not allowed. This is apartheid. Apartheid was the policy practiced by the South African Prime Ministers, Malan, M-A-L-A-N. Okay, Malan to Pik Botha. Up to Pik Botha's regime, apartheid was the policy. Discriminated the native. They branded the native Africans as sinners, whites as pure. Any interaction between a white and a black considered sinful. Okay, this to the extent they had gone. Okay, they subjected Gandhi also to racial discrimination. Gandhi remained in South Africa for 22 years. Our labor class went and settled in South Africa. They were also discriminated. Indian child labor, migrated labor. Understand? So policy is apartheid. When white government in South Africa went for apartheid, definitely, what is the question? Claim being a democratic country. It was definitely not. When they are following a policy called apartheid, it was definitely not democratic. Okay. Finally, pressure started on South Africa government by Commonwealth countries. When Commonwealth countries brought pressure on South Africa government, South Africa withdrew from Commonwealth countries. Okay. United States, UNO brought pressure on South Africa. When they held the elections, 1993, okay, for the first time you see black president, okay, Nelson Mandela becoming president. When Mandela was voted to power, that is the end of apartheid. Okay. So South Africa's claim under the white racist regime democratic country, it was definitely not democratic. Okay. The emergence of two power blocks not only symbolized two competing ideologies but also two alternative models of economic growth. This question is about what? This question is about Russia emerging as USSR practicing socialism and communism. Against Russia's socialism and communism, you have capitalist powers. What are the capitalist powers? England, France, US, Japan. When Russia declared that it was a socialist and communist republic, okay, except US, all these countries declared war on Russia. In 1917, okay, Russia became socialist and communist. After the end of First World War, France, England and Japan attacked Russia. Of course, they could not defeat Russia. Russia could defend itself very well. They did not recognize Russia as a socialist country. Up to World War II, even up to World War II, US had not recognized Russia. Okay. So there were not only political considerations, ideological clashes. One is socialistic, the other one is capitalistic. So mode of production, there is a difference here. You see, symbolize two competing ideologies. What are the ideologies? Socialism versus capitalism. But also two alternative models of economic growth. Okay. What are the alternative models of economic growth? Socialist method of production and capitalist method of production. Capitalist method of production is centered around profit. Only profit. You make a profit, don't bother about society. Understand? For them, making profit itself is economic development. Without development, you can't make profit. That is capitalist mode of system of production. Socialist system of production, first social stability is important. Equal opportunity important. Social system to survive is very important. Profit is secondary. What is important is stability is important. Economic opportunity is important. Equal opportunity important. That's why in 1929, when Great Economic Depression affected all over the world, Great Economic Depression, all capitalist countries collapsed. Even then, socialist Russia remained stable. Russia was not affected because Russia's production, socialist communist system of production, it meant for social stability, not meant for profit. Okay. So two different ideologies, socialism versus capitalism, two different systems of production, socialist production and capitalist system of production. Each has its own advantages and disadvantages. Okay. It's more because of the disadvantages socialist Russia collapsed. It's more because of advantages capitalism is still surviving. Got the point? To what extent underdevelopment in Latin America is caused by neo-imperialism? What are the Latin American countries, my dear? Latin American countries means all the countries to the south of United States. They are called Latin American countries, starting with Mexico. Mexico, Guatemala, Peru, Panama, Chile, Bolivia, Bolivia, Argentina, Brazil, all come under Latin American countries. These Latin American countries could get independence by 1825, 1830. All Latin American countries except Cuba. Why you call them Latin American countries? Because these countries were colonized by Spain, Portugal. Spain and Portugal. Their language Latin. Latin was the official language of Europe before Renaissance started. Up to 15th century, Latin was the official language. Same Latin was introduced in these countries. That's why they are called Latin American countries. Right. They got independence. After America, they were the countries who got independence very quickly, except Cuba. Until 1988, 1990, 1898, Cuba was under the control of Spain. Fidel Castro. Right. America defeated Cuba in 1898. America liberated Cuba also. Okay. After that, what happened? America continued to support Latin American countries. Understand? Why? Not out of the love for them or out of concern for them, but to promote her own interests. What was the policy of US against Latin American countries? Why they were backward, first of all? Problems of Latin American countries. After independence, there was growth of population in Latin America. Corresponding to the growth of population, there is no development. This is number one. Next, number two problem, political instability. No education development, political instability. Labor class unrest started in Latin America. Brazil became the country with, most popular communist party. Okay, communist party entered into Brazil. So Latin America was experiencing labor class problem. Latin America also experienced a problem with other country. Each country had a problem with other country. Border dispute, Border disputes between Bolivia, Brazil. Okay. Every time there were clashes. Okay. So there is a main problems of the Latin American countries. Poverty, illiteracy, economically underdeveloped. For them, technological development means they are dependent upon US. What was US policy towards Latin American countries? Three things. Number one, Monroe Doctrine. Monroe was the president of America. Monroe, under his doctrine, clearly declared Latin America meant America. Understand? Americas are for Americans. Americas are for Americans. Americas means Northern America, Southern America. These two are for only Americans. You Europeans, vacate. You Spain, you Portugal, you France, all of you vacate Americas. This is for Americans only. Latin America. Second important policy of US is dollar diplomacy. You Latin American countries, you want financial support, we will give you finance. Dollar diplomacy. Third important thing is Pan-Americanism. What is Pan-Americanism? You follow American culture. You follow the language English. Cultural imperialism. Okay. America imposed cultural imperialism. America continued to interfere in Latin American countries. Whichever country that goes for socialism, America would end the government there. America tried many a time to kill Fidel Castro, to end communist government. America attacked Bermuda. America attacked Guatemala. Understand? In the name of democracy, ending communist governments there. Okay. So Latin American countries got independence, but unfortunately they came under the influence of powerful America. Cuba, that is under Cold War. When US threatened to attack Russia, Russia used Cuba as the base for attacking US. Okay, missile wars. Okay. How did Ho Chi Minh emerge as the central figure in Vietnamese independent movement? Only for 10 marks. Ho Chi Minh. Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos all form into Indochina. Indochina came under the control of France. France exploiting Indochina. From 1930, you have Communist Party formed in Indochina. Okay, Vietnamese Communist Party. CCP, Communist Party of China. Formation of CCP inspired formation of Communist Party of Indonesia, Communist Party of Indochina, Vietnamese Communist Party. When Vietnamese Communist Party was formed in 1930, the party came under the influence of Ho Chi Minh. Okay. It was Ho Chi Minh. There's a popular slogan, I don't know whether you have heard of it or not. Ho Chi Minh, fight, we shall win. You understand? This is what generally SFI, PDSU people, even today they give the slogan. Ho Chi Minh is an ever-inspiring character. Problems of Vietnam, they got independence after World War II. But unfortunately, they came under the influence of not only Japan, France and US. France continued to rule US. Understand? Ho Chi Minh, the leader of the Communist Party. Communist Party became very popular in North Vietnam. South Vietnam came under the control of France and US. During World War, Japan occupied Vietnam. Ho Chi Minh's role comes first here. Ho Chi Minh organized people's movement against Japan, liberated Vietnam. Vietnam during World War II. Japan surrendered. Japan was atom bombed. Hiroshima, Nagasaki by US. Japan surrendered. When Japan surrendered, Vietnam became independent. Vietnam becoming independent was not accepted by France. France again entered into South Vietnam. France supported a candidature of Baudouin, Baudouin as the candidate, president of South Vietnam, against Ho Chi Minh in the North Vietnam. There was civil war between North and the South Vietnam. North Vietnam under Ho Chi Minh, trying to liberate the South. France could not fight any longer. 1956, France withdrew from Vietnam. When France withdrew from Vietnam, US entered there. Because problem of US, Vietnam is coming under the influence of Communist China. Communist China and Communist Russia. After World War II, Cold War started between Russia and US. If you allow Vietnam to become a communist country, Vietnam can become a center for all the Southeast Asian countries. Communism will spread. It will have dominoes effect. That's the reason why US entered. US sent 3 lakh army. US used chemical weapons. Twice more than that of what US used in World War. US destroyed crops, virtually creating a major crisis for Vietnamese. Even then, Vietnamese women, children, young and old, all they came together for a common cause. Heroic fight under the inspiring leadership of Ho. They have not surrendered to US. Finally, Reagan administration decided to withdraw from Vietnam. Withdraw because you are not able to move forward. You are not able to, suppress the movement. Here it was Ho Chi Minh responsible for liberating Vietnam. Liberating Vietnam, first under Japan, next fighting against France, next fighting against US. By 1975, Vietnam became independent. Geneva Conference, US accepted. That's what. First Japan during World War II occupying Vietnam. So Ho Chi Minh's fight was against Japan during World War II and liberating Vietnam under Japan. After war, World War II, France entering again. South Vietnam under France control, right? North Vietnam under Ho Chi Minh. So civil war between North and the South. When France withdrew, US entered there. Huh? No, no, Cold War period. This all happened during Cold War period. Because soon after World War II, Cold War started. Okay. There in China, Russia and America interfered. Russia supporting Mao, America supporting Chiang Kai-shek, Nationalist Party. So when they entered into China means connected to China, Vietnam. Okay. In Vietnam, North Vietnam coming under the influence of China and Russia. South Vietnam under the influence of France, US. Got the point? This is as simple as that. Right? Fine. This is the end of the discussion. Year 1856. By 1856, France brought Vietnam, not only Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam, all under its control. Second time after World War II. First you asked about when it entered, right? When it entered way back 1828, 1830, colonization process. 1960. 1960, France was not there. France withdrew from all the colonies by 1956. Okay. African colonies also got liberated. French African colonies. Right. De Gaulle was the president. France was not in a position to continue. Why? Because France very badly affected in World War II. England very badly affected in World War II. They were not in a position to rule. Got the point? That's why in 1956 France withdrew. Right, my dear? God bless you. Right.